afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Real Talk with Ellasin, and I am Ellasin. Listen, if you are on Facebook, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. And please make sure you share out Real Talk with Ellasin, because on this show, we talk about real issues that impact the community as well as the church. And with that being said, we're about to get this show started. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Real Talk with Ellasin, and I am Ellasin. Listen, on today's show, we are going to be discussing boys to men, and we're not talking about the group either. So I wanted to share this before I introduce our special guest on today. June is Men's Mental Health Month. Yes, it is. And mental health includes emotional, psychological, as well as the social well-being. But how we need more than just 1 month. We should be aware year-round about mental health that impacts our men, our women, our boys, and our girls. Amen. So depression and anxiety are the most common mental health conditions experienced by young men. 1 in 7 young men between the ages of 16 and 24 experience depression or anxiety, and that's each year. It's the rate is alarming and is growing. So I want to give you a few statistics before again I introduce our guest. And according to the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, and this is worldwide, there are some 200,000 homicides that occur among our youth ages 10 to 29 years of age, and that's each year, which is about 42% of the total number of homicides globally. That's a lot of homicides for our youth, right? So homicide is the 4th leading cause of death in people ages 10 to 29 years of age, and 84% of them are homicides that involve our males. 84% of that involve our males. And according to the Government Census Bureau, out of 72% of the United States population, this is just the United States, fatherlessness is the most significant family or social problem facing America. 90% of our runaways or our children who are homeless or our children that commit crimes or some kind of acts are due because there's no father in our homes. So here with me today to discuss how his program is making an impact in the community with our young men is none other than Eric Battle Sr. Welcome, Eric.
Hello, how you doing? Thank you for inviting me to be on this space. I'm excited to be here. I almost feel like I'm big time right now. It's just the way this whole thing was set up. I'm just excited to be here on Real Talk with you.
Well, I am so grateful that and honored that you said yes and you are here, because I believe your organization is going to impact many. So I want you to tell us a little bit about it right now.
So my organization is part of what you call the Battle Brand. The Battle Brand is our overall organization, or if you will, organization that leads with, we want to push people past their destiny so they can make sure they create what we call legacy, right? And so at the end of the day, one of the things that I've cherished so much in all the aspects that I've done is it's called youth development. And I've seen a lot of young people over the years that I've been in youth development, whether it's been an intensive in-home counselor or a director for a Boys and Girls Club or a youth pastor or a counselor too in the detention center. And I realized a lot of our young men have struggled. One of the major
Mm,
reasons why our young men have struggled is because a lot of our young men are raised in single family homes. And whether it
yeah,
is a father in the home or whether it's a mother in the home, or our young men have grown up in settings and homes with grandparents or guardians or foster care, things of that nature, um, that is just single. And so
right.
what I've developed is a program called the Warrior Program. And the Warrior Program is for young people who are ages maybe five and six to 14, 15 years old, single parents, single guardians, single anybody that have young people in this age, young men. And my hopes in this program is that we develop that our young people will get into our program, and we help establish a foundation that helps our young people to live and not die. We want to put them.
I
We
like
want to
that.
put them in or push them into communities that helps them live and not die. I mean,
Hmm.
and the way we do that is I was always in the education system growing up. Shout out to Newport News Public School System, this is where I graduated from. But growing up, we were always taught how to survive, but
Yes.
never really taught how to thrive in our own
Don't
community.
you go there yet. Don't you go there yet. Don't you go there
So
yet.
so so really what the program what we really wanted to do is to set our young people up to not just survive but also thrive.
Right, that's good. You said, about the fathers, that number out of 72%, right, of Americans, and I can only imagine if they had 100% Census Bureau, but
Right.
they were saying that 72%, with the fatherless is significant. But, I like what you said that even if the father is in a home, because sometimes the father's in a home, but he's
Yeah.
still not present.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's still not present. So I was looking at the statistics and it said 85% of our youth, the youth men, the youth boys
Yeah.
who are currently in prison,
Hmm.
85% of them grew up in a fatherless home.
Hmm.
Right. So there are many, many, many young men that grow up in single family homes. How important is it for the man to be in the home?
Honestly, it's very important for the man to be in the home. And what I mean by man, the man that has taken his rightful position as
Mm,
um, priest of the home, the one who sets direction, the one who sets an example, the model of the home, for male and for female. But for particularly for young men,
mm-hmm.
it's important for young men to have that male role model in the home, especially the one I'm connected to, because that person is my father. Because
Mm,
our young people, young men, and don't get me wrong, because I grew up in a single home with my mother. My father wasn't around; he left when I was 4 years old. But don't get me
mm,
wrong, my mother did a great job raising me, and I don't want no woman listening to what I'm saying and take it the wrong way.
right.
But a female is not a male. A woman
Listen, let me
is
jump
not a
in and
man.
help you out since this is Real Talk with Ellison. Let me help you out.
Mhm.
A woman can't do what a man can do,
Right.
right? We can't
Yep.
show our young men, no matter how hard we try, we still
Yes.
can't show our young man anything a man can do. So I go ahead and help you out.
And so one of the things that helped me in this situation growing up, and it really just take from my perspective and my experience, is growing in a household with a female or a woman. Again,
Mm,
love my mother. Rest, she's in what I hope in heaven right now, but
mm,
she's no longer with us. But she did her best to raise me. But one of the things I struggled with was how to handle my emotions as a male. One of the things I
that's
struggled
good.
with was how to treat a female as a man. One of the things I struggled with is how to respond to right and wrong decision making as a male. Um, what I am used to or what I would do and respond is what I saw my mother and how my mother responded. And
Hmm.
so, because of those things, and also to be honest with you, because you're around women or you're around this female as much as you are, you start taking in mannerisms because you don't have that male figure in your life,
Right. That's
because what
good.
you're used to is what you're around all the time. And so
That's good.
therefore you start taking those mannerisms on.
Mm-hmm.
And as a male, it's hard to kind of come back there if you don't have somebody in that home. And so a male is important. A male
A
is
male is
definitely
really
important
important.
to help
Yeah.
set direction.
That's right. Let's talk about those. Let's talk about those emotions, right? And I'm glad you brought that up because, as a young man, 9 out of 10 times, if the father is around or if the woman is trying to raise, we'll hear, man up, be quiet, or the young man is put in a role of an adult before he should be because now, he's got to take up the male role because there is no male role. But then you got this young man who didn't learn his emotions, right? And he is now getting into relationships, and a woman is sitting up there saying, I just want you to be emotional. I just want you to talk to me. I just want this, share your feelings and all this other stuff. But if the young man hasn't learned how to do this, how can they not only express their emotions to a woman, but express their emotions, period? Does your program have some kind of outlet to teach these young men how to healthily share their emotions?
Yeah. So in my program, one of the things that I do, again, I just basic off of my experience. So I was, again, young, older adult, and I had a relationship with another man who was a businessman, and just awesome at what he does. And he kind of knew me. And one of the things he said to me was, he says, "Man, you did you have a father growing up?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"No." And one of the things he told me was, he says, "I can tell." And I was like, "Hold on, how can you tell?" And he was
Right.
like, "Because of how you respond,
Wow.
of your emotions." He says, and don't take this the wrong way, because he says, because what me having a father in my life, I knew how to respond to situations in my emotions because I saw my father do it. And so what the
Hmm.
father does, it helps us to respond, or a male helps us to respond, because men normally respond, or are supposed to respond, will calm, cool, and collect. And
Hmm.
so I took that and realized I got to be able to, in my emotions, to be able to deal with them at that moment. And
Mm,
sometimes not responding right away is the
that's
best way
good.
to deal with your emotions.
That's
Because
good.
what happens is, if I respond right away, then what comes out of my mouth, I can't take back.
Oh, you speaking good right now. That's right. Once you blast them words off, you can't snatch them back.
You
Right.
can't snap it
So
back at all.
so so how important is it for a boy child to feel safe sharing their feelings? And how does your organization help them to do that? To feel, because I gotta feel safe, right?
Yes.
Because remember, man up. You're a
Yeah.
man, so I need to feel safe.
So what I love about our community is that we help try to develop what you call a community. And so if you're with me, or you're within the program, that means you're going through it with other young men. And so
Hmm.
the idea is to help break down barriers, because a lot of times when young men are in groups with young men, they don't feel comfortable to share. And here's why: they don't feel comfortable to share because if I share, then somebody might laugh, or I don't know this person, I don't trust. And so it's hard for them to share because they don't know how the other person was going to receive. And so what we do is we kind of break down that portion of being able to share. And how we do that,
Mm,
we break it down by eliminating the similarities. So what I mean by eliminating is, the biggest piece is, we want to make sure to let everybody know that everybody in here isn't perfect. Everybody
that's
in
right.
here deals with their own issues or their own
Hmm.
situations, and
Hmm.
everybody has their own things that they deal with when they go home. And so what we're supposed to do as a community, and so what I try to do is help build a community within a community. Because if I build this community and help build this community within there, then I have peers who are my age. I have peers who think as the same. I can be able to share in this and feel safe without feeling judged.
Oh,
And if
that's
you
good. That's good.
and let's be honest, we live in a day and age is, it's a lot of judging going on. It's a lot
Yes.
of judging
Yes.
going on, and people not realizing that they make mistakes too.
That's
I
right.
know,
Ooh,
I know I'm not
man, you
perfect.
saying a whole lot.
Yeah, I know I'm not perfect, but that don't mean come down on me, because you used to
Mm,
be in my shoes.
mm-hmm. Mm,
And so
mm.
The idea is to set up a safe place,
Mm-hmm.
a safe place, so I'm able to share. And that's what I think our world and our communities need for young people.
Yeah,
Our young people
that's
need to be able to run to a place, and the Bible says it strictly, the Lord is a strong tower. He's a
mm-hmm.
strong tower. I can run to it and feel safe. They got to
Yes,
be able to run to it and feel
that's right.
safe. And feeling safe means I can be emotional.
Yeah,
And being emotional means I can be angry. I can be sad. I can be upset. I can be frustrated
that's right.
and not feel bad about it. But after they do that, you give them the space to do it, but then you teach them how to respond out of it. So that's the difference.
Yeah,
A
that
lot of
is.
times we respond out of our emotions.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why. That's the reason why the old adage is man up, don't do it, because a lot of men have responded out of their emotions and they realize what it did for them and what it didn't do for them.
That's good.
So,
I like
so
that.
yeah.
You said a whole lot, right? And I want to talk about that safe place
Hmm.
because a lot of our young men don't feel like, they're a safe place. They don't feel like they have a place to belong. Hey, listen guys, y'all hashtag safe place, right? Hashtag safe place because it's important. Matter of fact, hashtag community also because
Yeah.
we have to let these young men feel like they are part of a community, right? That they can feel safe with. And the reason why I say a safe, healthy community,
Yeah.
because 16% of our youth gang members are younger than 15,
Yeah.
right? 34% were between the ages of 15 and 17, and then 37% between the ages of 18 and 24. Our youth are turning to different gangs. They're turning to false teachings. They're turning to programs that's leading them the wrong way because they want to belong to some
Right.
place.
Right.
So what I'm hearing you say, Eric, is that we're creating this place. We're creating this safe place to say, hey, you know what? You angry, but this is how you respond in a healthy way to your anger,
Right.
right? You said it's okay to allow yourself to feel that, to be in that moment. That's
Yeah.
what I believe I'm hearing you to say.
That's exactly what I'm saying, because I want you to live and not die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oftentimes, and the reason why our young men are running to those areas, like you said, gangs and communities where it may not be positive, is because they feel safe.
Right. So let me ask you this. What is the biggest challenge to breaking down the outer barrier of these young men? Because most of the time they're hard, right? We
Yeah.
know that they got a heart and they're soft, but
Yeah.
nobody loved them enough. So what do you perceive are the biggest barriers to get through?
So number one, as I stated before, number one has to start in the home. And so if it doesn't start in the home, then I'm gonna go try to find it somewhere else. But then number two, trust is the big key for access
Mm,
to young people. If they
hmm
don't trust you, then they're not gonna
mm,
do it.
that's
And so
good.
what we do is we create programs and we get out here and want them to be in our program so we can get stats, so we can get statistics, so we can get results. But our young people are not going to do if they don't know you, if they don't trust you.
That's right.
And so
That's
that's
right.
why mentoring programs are important, because what we do, before we even start putting in plans and places and protocols, what we do is build a relationship so they can trust you. What we do is
Yes.
we be consistent with young people so
Yes.
they know that you're not going to leave them. What we do, we set them up with others and network them in communities so when they're at other places, they know familiar faces.
Yeah.
And,
Let's
and
let's
so,
pause right there.
yeah.
Let's pause right there because it is about the relationship. Because
Hmm.
remember, daddy left me.
Yeah.
So now I got a trust issue because I'm thinking, okay, well, you're going to show me some attention. And maybe daddy left me. And then maybe somebody was there, but then they wind up leaving too. So now I do have this trust issue. Are
Yeah.
you going to leave me too? So it is about the relationship more than the numbers,
Yeah.
right? Our young men can't feel like they're just a number,
And
right?
that's
So you're building relationships, is what I'm
building
hearing you say.
relationships. We don't want our kids to be another number. We don't want our kids to be another statistic. No, We want our kids, again, to be successful at what they do and what they're
Yes.
called to do. And that's what our hope is, because if they don't have a foundation, I was having a conversation today and earlier with someone. A lot of our kids don't have foundations to go back to. See,
Mm.
when we're in trouble, or when we're in situations that are causing us stress and overwhelming,
Mhm.
we know where to run back to, or we know where to run to, and so
That's
we don't.
right.
So a lot of our kids don't have nothing to build on,
That's good.
and that's why
So that's
it.
really
Go ahead.
good. I was going to say, with you saying that, and I heard you say this earlier, because that reminded me of your statement when you said, we teach boys and young men not only to survive, but to thrive.
Yes.
So tell me, what does that entails? Because that's what I'm hearing you saying a lot.
So the idea is we want young men to prosper.
Mm-hmm.
See, the idea is to make not only kingdom citizens, but to make effective and contributor effective members in today's societies. We want our
Yes.
young men to contribute to society.
Yes.
But our young men, and here's how, our young men have to know who they are and able to contribute.
That's right.
I
Woo.
can't do unless I be.
Mm, mm,
I
mm.
got to learn how to be first
Mm-hmm.
so I can be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so our job is, hopefully, our assignment is, hopefully, is to help them and connect them so they can understand their own identity, so they can
Yes.
understand the why me.
Yeah.
Why am I here? Why was I born? And reality is, nobody who was sent on this earth was a mistake. And so
Ooh, that's a
we
powerful right there.
we got to make sure we even break that down, because
That's
things
right.
happen in other people's lives that allow people to be birthed. And even in homes, some people say you are a mistake, or it
Ooh,
wasn't planned, or you was an accident. The devil is a lie.
the
No,
devil is a lie.
because God already knew what he was doing when he put those two individuals together, so
That's
you can
right.
be here today. And so our
Right.
job really is, I realize this, when you realize, somebody said it all the way. Somebody says it all the time. The two greatest things happens in two things you find out in the world. Number one is when you are born. But then number
Yeah.
two, when you find out why you were born.
Why you were born. Ooh, that's so powerful, because you hear that a lot, like you're an accident and stuff like that, right? So even with me, I wasn't, so I wasn't planned or anything like that. But when you hear that, that is an impact, because then you try to figure out, what is my purpose?
Yeah,
Because if I was an accident and I wasn't supposed to be here, and I don't know Jesus, then what am I doing? I'm just wandering aimlessly. And
right.
then if you put that same thought in a young man who's
Yeah,
supposed to be, the king of the castle, who's supposed to, have it together to help take care of the household, you're already destroying the household. So when a person say, you know what, you was an accident, okay, you know what, to you I was an accident, but to God I have a purpose, and I'm
a
purposely
purpose.
being here, right?
Yeah, it
So
one
in
of
this
you're not a
point, you
mistake.
guys help them find the purpose,
The purpose.
regardless of what mama, daddy, auntie, and whoever else says.
Yeah, yeah. Because in reality is, they got to understand the reason why I'm here is for somebody else, right?
That's right.
I I've been placed here, and if I don't do what I've been called to do, then the person who's waiting on me gonna suffer.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And
That
so
part right there.
just like even you said, you heard the accidents, but here I wouldn't be here today on the show if you believe you were an accident.
That's right. That's
You see what I'm
right.
saying? And so there's
Yes,
so
sir.
much power. There's so much power in me believing who I am. And see, the
Mm-hmm.
difference is our young people are dealing with so much. I'm not even going to use the word bullying, but it's so much pressure from other
Absolutely.
individuals. And that's the reason why young people lose their minds, because of the acceptance for somebody else who ain't make them.
Yes, because they're looking to be accepted by somebody. They're looking
Yes,
to belong. They're looking to feel love, because our young people are dealing with being judged. Our young people
yes,
are dealing with rejection,
yes.
abandonment. They're dealing all of this, and nobody is creating a space. That's why I'm, encouraged to have you on the show, because you're creating a space for them to feel safe, find out their purpose, which that leads me into saying, how hard is it for a young man to say, you know what, I can be, when I don't see anybody around here, anything but what I am, right? So basically, okay, we had Barack Obama. We had
Mhm.
that. But
Yeah.
that's not my everyday life. My everyday life is, so and so in the gang or so and so over here. That's what I see, and now I'm becoming a product of my environment. So how important is programs like yours to be like, you don't have to be a product of your environment?
Right. And it's important because again, just because my mama was an addict, just because my father was a
Mhm.
gang member, just because we got all these people in my family who don't do right, that don't mean I need to do exactly what they're doing. Maybe I'm here to stop what's going on in my family.
Break
And
that
and again
generation.
and again and if we talk about even with Jesus had all these people in his lineage he had prostitutes and he had liars and he had adulterers, but Jesus didn't do what they did. Jesus set the standard. And so
Jesus sat with sinners. He didn't sin with sinners.
he sat with them and he brought them along. And one of the
That's
things
right.
I was saying to my son the other day, I said, you got to stop chasing what you see
Mm,
and
mm,
chase who you serve. It's a difference.
mm.
It's a difference because at the end of the day, and if he's good enough to serve, then he's good enough to follow,
Yes.
right? And so oftentimes what our young people do, we get in these unhealthy habits or these unhealthy communities because, like you said earlier, we want to feel belong, or they give it
Hmm.
to us what we want, we get right now. We want it right now
Right now.
because then it feels good. But what they don't tell you is when you're in this community, there's only a couple ways. If you continue to do what you're doing, there's only a couple ways you're going to turn out.
Come on now. Come on now.
And so what thriving does, if you follow a good community that'll show you who you are, that'll give you resources and tools to be exactly who
Mm,
you're supposed to be,
yes.
then you'll be able to thrive and live, right?
That's right.
And we're
Woo.
just not talking about money. We're talking about being healthy in your mind. We're talking
Yes.
about being healthy in your soul. We're talking
That's
about
right.
being healthy physically. We want you to
Yes.
thrive. We're talking about being healthy in a community to the point where your name, and that's what I want for our young people. And if somebody's
Yes.
young is looking on, that's what we want with the Warrior Program. We want your name to be spoken well of when you're not even
Yes.
around.
That's right.
I want your name,
What's your legacy?
yeah, we want your reputation to be spoken of because your name is a brand. Your name
Hmm.
represents something. And so when people talk about you, what do they say about you? Young
That's
people,
good.
that's exactly what we want. We want people to speak well of you, even when you're
Yeah.
not around.
That's good. I like that. So listen, can do a person have to be in your city to be a part of your program?
No person does not have to be a part of the city. So what we do, I'm a part of what you call the CMI affiliate coaching certification. And through that, we have what you call the Warrior Program. And through the Warrior Program, there's 6 virtual classes that young people can take. Um,
Okay.
and you can get on that and log on through our CMI website. You can get on there and take 6 classes. And through the 6 classes, virtual classes, you're able to see my face. And then what I'll do, also set up once you take classes, I'll make personal phone calls. So
Hmm.
then we can be able to talk. And as we be able to talk, then I can set up networking, put you in areas for those who are around you and get you to places where you need to be.
Okay, that's good. I think that, because a lot of people, some places they don't have programs like this. So being able to be a part, even if it's virtually, then, I can be a part and I can go through this with my child. You
Yeah.
know, you heard me, right? I said go through this with my child, because regardless if there's no father in the home or not, we have to be present in our child's life. We
Yes.
can't be naive about our child's
No,
behavior, right?
not at all.
So how important is it for a parent to be involved and get involved with the growth of their young man?
Even down to the littlest thing, we shouldn't let it slide. I think even for me working in the school system now, I work for Newport News Public School System as a family engagement specialist. And what I see is a lot of parents let even the little stuff slide. And so when even getting out of your seat when you're not supposed to, or raising or speaking out of turn when you're not even supposed to, or knocking on doors, just a little knocking on doors when people in class, you're supposed to be in class, or walking the hallways without a pass when you're not even supposed to. Just the little stuff. If we don't correct the little
Right.
stuff, when you get to a certain age in high school, that stuff stops.
Yeah.
Because like even now, our school system has been set up all the way to 8th grade. They're gonna pass you regardless. You can make F's, they still gonna pass you. But then when you
Wow.
get to, but then when
I
you get to high school, you can make F's in the 9th grade if you want to. You're gonna be a 9th grader again.
Right. So as I'm hearing you say, if little Johnny's coming to my house and he jumping on my couch, and you say, I don't know why he doing that. He don't do that at home.
Mm-mm.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
Yeah,
do, because he feel
yeah.
comfortable. So he feel comfortable enough to jump on my couch. I know he jumping on
That
the
means he's
couch at
doing it
home.
some. That means he's doing it somewhere else, and
That's
it needs to,
right. So we
and it
got to
needs to
pay
be, and it
attention to
needs to
those
be checked.
behaviors.
Yes,
Hmm.
it needs to be checked. And here's what people don't realize. Another reason why I'm in this youth development field and wanting to do this program is because I believe, number one, I believe it will help curb homelessness.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because according to um, according to the national, and I want to make sure I say it correctly, but according to
Who the
the
who?
National Alliance to End Homelessness,
Mhm.
every night, thousands of young people experience homelessness without a parent or guardian.
That's right. That's
Youth
right.
homelessness is a problem among many young people around the globe.
Hmm.
Racial discrimination, justice involvement, physical and mental health, foster care, pregnant and parenting youth, and the LGBTQ are some causes that lead to teen homelessness.
Yeah, you know why that is, and I'm glad you read those statistics, because some of it, a small percentage, is because I don't want to listen to my parent. That's a small
Mm-hmm.
percentage of it. But the other percentage of it is, I want to do what I want to do, right?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
I don't feel like I belong home. I'm
Right.
misunderstood. I don't
Right.
have nowhere to go, so I'm going to hit the streets,
I'm gonna
right?
hit.
And I hear you say a lot about organizations to help our young men thrive, right? So is that part of, if I come to you, and I'm a young man and I'm homeless or whatever, is part of your program to help me thrive, set me up with a community that can help me through this?
Yes. And so the idea is to put you in places that I know can help you get through. Because like with my wife is work for Hampton, and she's a social worker. And so she works foster care program. We have networking that way. We have people at the rescue mission. We have people Mitchfield House. We have people just kind of all over. We have programs like, even for me, used to working at the Boys and Girls Club of the Virginia
Hmm.
Peninsula, which is a great place for young men to go to. There's
Okay.
a program called Men in the Making that our young people can connect with men who are successful in our community and didn't have great lives growing up, but they made it out. We have,
Yeah.
and so we have people who even teach. I understand one of the things I love about our program, part of our resources is, and how do we help you thrive, is to help you go to battle, hence the last name, battle. And what that does, is the resources, the tools, getting you involved, maybe even in karate. And karate helps you with discipline, when to fight and
Yes.
when not to fight. Getting you in
Hmm.
archery, knowing how to take aim when you're supposed to take aim. These are some of the tools and the concepts we want to make sure what we're doing, making it fun and engaged, but also teaching life skills while you're doing it.
Right, right. That's good. I heard you say karate, because karate teaches discipline,
Yes,
because it's a different kind of discipline.
this different
It's
kind.
a mental discipline,
You got to
right?
use
And
your mind.
if we can get a control of, our mental
Yes,
health, we can discipline there, then it'll help us better control our emotions so that we can respond in a more healthy manner.
correct.
And also with discipline, right? Discipline will help me stay focused so I can thrive and not just survive.
And
Right.
that's
So,
it.
so I like that.
Staying focused, because there's so many distractions out here for our young people to get so
Mm-hmm.
caught up in, and it'll take their eyes right off the prize. So if I take my eyes, and what could be really knowing is I could be doing well, but as soon as that distraction comes, I start to drown.
Mm,
And me drowning, I don't know who to call on. I don't know who to call on when I start drowning.
right.
And our job is to show you, give you that tool when stuff like that happens. When incidents
Okay.
like that happens, I give you somebody you can call on that'll
That's
be
good.
there because you call on them. That don't want to make sure
Yes.
you drown.
That's good. That's all about that relationship
It's
and
the
making sure I
relationship.
feel safe and community. Right. So if y'all haven't hashtag relationship by now, hashtag relationship, that is really,
Tag
really
it.
good. So let me ask you this. What are some challenges that you perceive of mentoring young men today as opposed to 10, 15 years ago? What are some challenges?
See, 10, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and again, the curve started happening around maybe 10 years ago, but maybe
Hmm.
about 15 years ago, there was nothing wrong with being raised by a village.
Come on now. Listen, real talk with Ellison. Y'all know I always say hashtag it takes a village. Hashtag it takes a village.
Yeah.
Yes. What
So there was
happened
no,
to the village, Eric?
yeah. So there was nothing wrong with being raised by a village. See, if I'm out of pocket and somebody saw me being out of pocket when I was young, I got corrected. So a
Woo,
lot of
Jesus,
times we
this
sit
is
here and we allow young people to continue to do what they do. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm one of those one in this community. If I see it, I'm gonna say something, right?
me too.
And everybody not gonna say something. But our village has stopped. Our village has
Mm,
demolished because what happens is we don't no longer we feel like it's our issue or our problem. So I'm not gonna step in, right?
mm,
But if in reality it is all of our problem, because
it
if we keep
is.
allowing it, at some point it's going to be in your face, and you might be endangered by the one you did not say something to.
It affects our community, it affects our society, if it affects our schools, our churches, it affects everything. Nobody, it appears that a lot of times people don't really get that involved until it hits home.
Yeah,
But when you say it takes a village, we're all involved. And I get it. Right now the spirit of fear is running rapid in America, period. So people are
period.
fearful to say something because these kids have lack of respect for adults, authority, and they will fight you, they will shoot you, they will do different things. So I get the fear, right? So how do you feel like we can approach these children? And with that being said, what experiences do you feel positive influence do young men respond to the most?
So I honestly, um, and kind of go back to what I said earlier.
Mhm.
If I don't know why I'm here, if I don't understand who I am, then what I do out here don't matter.
I don't have a regard for my life, so why would I have a regard for your life?
See, so when I understand why I'm here, when I begin to realize that I have a purpose here, that I am supposed to be a part of this community that is growing, I I have something to hold on to. See, what
Mm,
people don't understand is if I have something to hang on to, that means I have hope. And
that's
if I have
right.
hope, that means I have something. And I
Yeah.
realize with mental health, one of the things people don't realize is hope, or understanding who you are and having that hope and faith. It gives you extra years to your life, because
Yeah.
therefore, even though it has not come yet, my hope is that I know it's coming. So therefore,
Mhm.
I'm a move, and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do to make sure I don't mess up what's supposed to be coming to me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because I hear a lot of our young adults and young kids say they feel hopeless, right? I hear that word a lot. And with hopelessness, it's why am I even here?
Yeah.
Right? This is why suicide rate is high. This is why if I have no hope, right? If I have no faith, and then I have a parent or I have a guardian or I have somebody saying, oh, you just like your mammy or you just like your
Come on.
daddy,
You look just
then
like your daddy. Yeah.
what is my hope? Because you already putting this negative stigma on me. So how do you expect me to have hope? And then how do you expect me to be out here to survive, more or less thrive, if you keep pushing all this negativity in me? That's why programs like yours, being positive, giving them a sense of hope, giving them a community, giving them a safe place is so important. So with our young men, we need to influence them more positive than negative, right? And I say that because sometimes people think negative reinforcement is the way,
Yeah.
and that's not always the case.
It's not.
Positiveness, talk to that.
So, and you said something so keen, because um, you just like my daddy, or you just like your father, or you're gonna be this person, or you're not gonna make it. Well, you know what? It always takes me back to in the story of the Bible, Jabez. Jabez, his name was pain, or born in pain, and in all I can think about in that text is family functions, or in that manner, that he always reminded his mother of pain, right? But the only person that was able to change that narrative is Jabez. Although Jabez was reminded by his mother that he's pain, his response was, Lord, increase my territory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
He didn't harp on what somebody else was saying. What he realized was, if you increase my influence, if you increase my territory, then I'm able to change what my name really means, or what people see about me. And really, and the reality is, that's what we want people to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just because one person or some people say you're this, that's not who you are. You are exactly who God called you to be. And our job is to help you see that, what God has called you to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that you have brought that up. That reminds me of, in Ruth, where Naomi was saying, just call me Maro, because she was mourning so much, right? Why would I want to be called something negative? So that's why it's so important we have to be careful what we speak into our young men. And
Yeah,
then we also have to be careful what we allow our young men to speak about themselves. But
definitely.
again, if I'm a parent or a guardian or whatever the case may be, and I'm speaking the negativity into this individual, then how am I expecting them to be positive? Right? So the
Right.
power of words, guys, we gotta
Power
be
word.
more mindful of our young men,
Yep.
because just because they don't show emotion don't mean they don't feel emotion.
Mm-mm.
They feel it.
I've come to realize they remember what you do to them,
Hmm.
and they remember what you say to them.
Oh yeah, words are powerful.
Words are powerful. And so our job as mentors, our job as fathers, our job as men, our job as just parents and female women, mothers, our job is to uplift our young people in the best manner that we can.
Hmm.
We will discipline and we will correct.
Right.
But one of the issues is we don't process with our children.
Mm.
So I know my
Mm.
son messed up. I know this young person messed up, and we're going to discipline. We're going to talk about it. Then after everybody's emotions are come down, have a sit down and talk. Now let's process what happened.
That's right.
Let's go through what happened. Let's take a look back of all the stuff that took place for us to make this decision. And then we
Right.
process and we realize why. Then we make a plan so it won't happen again.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. Because the most important thing right there is that you said we don't process it out. And the processing part is important because it allows the young man to think about, what was it that I was feeling that caused me to respond or react this way or
Yeah,
say this way, right? But because we don't say that, or we say, I want you to go think about what you did. Well, how if I wasn't taught? What does that look like? So
right.
that's powerful that you said that, because you're helping young men process their feelings.
And that's important. Whether they process it at home alone, go to your room and process them, or you give them something to write on. Get them to be able to not suppress it, because suppressing only allows it to bottle up. And once it bottles up, it comes out unhealthy.
Right.
What we want them to do is process. When we process, we're able to really figure out, okay, what caused me to do this?
Mm-hmm.
We get to the root of the problems. If you don't get to the root of the problem or the root of the issue, then it's always going to be an issue.
Yes. 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 Stop. What I'm hearing you say is stop just taking care of the surface of it and get beneath it so we can get rid of it. Right?
And
Because
that's
just
how young
treating
people
it as a
thrive.
problem.
And that's how they thrive. That's how they thrive. This is how they become successful. Because I'm dealing with, and again, I'm not a licensed therapist, but what I do know is what has helped me over the years is not bottling up the very things that has overwhelmed me or stressed me out, or even working with young people over these thousands of young people that I work with, being able to sit with them, talk with them, so they can understand, so they can voice it and say, you know what?
Right.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
And here's why. Here's why I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Right. So now, because I've gone through this and I've had this conversation with and been able to process with it, when the situation comes up again, I know when and what to do this time.
Yeah. You made them aware of it.
Yes.
Made them aware of it. So let me ask you this, right? Exposure to new things is critical, right? To expanding the possibilities of the mind. But if all I see is, everything around me and I'm not getting exposed to anything, new ideas and plans, nobody's, trying to go anywhere. What ideas or plans do you propose, to expose young men to new experiences and opportunities?
So basically, again, ideas that we have is to do our best to expose them to what they haven't seen before. One of the funniest things that I won't even say funniest, but one of the eye-opening things or inspiring things that I've seen was take a young people who live in Newport News on a field trip to the convention center in Hampton, staying here in Virginia, and getting on the interstate. And a lot of our young men was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Oh my gosh, where are we going? I haven't been here. I haven't done that. This changed their whole mindset of what the group so there's a mental part of my mental. We were going on a field trip and I took them out of their comfort zone and took them to a place they'd never been before.
Wow.
And
Expose them to something different than their community. Exposure, yeah.
So they got it, and that's part of it. They got to get out of what they see so they can see someone else who looks like them doing what they can do.
Yes. That's good. That is good. And a lot of people, young and old, they do not leave out of their environment. It's almost as if they feel like I'm trapped here because, for instance, maybe, dad did this and then, or granddad did this and then dad did this. So then I have to do this. It's almost as if they feel like I have to follow those footsteps versus seeing that my purpose can be different. I don't have to follow that way.
Right. Right.
So bringing them and exposing them to new things, new elements is helping them thrive, because now I see, right? And if I don't see it, then I don't know it.
Then you don't know it.
So if I don't know different, I can't do different.
Got to expose them to it. And here's what I understand. A lot of our young people these days deal with a lot of trauma. And even in the trauma, there has to be a breaking down of that. How do you explain to them what happened to them? Why did it even happen to me? Like, and this is the reason why some of them respond the way they do. Because they realize, because it happened to me, then it means this is who I am all the time. And that's why it's important to expose to them, to even people who's been through what they've been through and still made it.
Yeah.
i.e., me not having a father growing up.
Yeah,
My mother
because you know
dying.
what? You become relatable at that part at that time.
I
Now
come
you're
relate.
relatable and I
I'm
can
relatable.
relate to you because you've been in my shoes versus you growing up and with the two-family house with the white picket
Yep,
fence and the dog, and you trying to tell me about me. You're relatable to them.
relatable. And no father growing up. Mother died when I was 19 years old.
Mm.
But I stand here to say, because I've figured out who I was. And
Yes.
I really could have, if I wanted to, I really could have turned to the drinking. I really could have turned to the drugs. I really could have turned to the streets, because at the end of the day, that's what they say we're supposed to do. Or I could be in jail, right? Or I could be 6 feet deep. But what I decided to do, here it is, when I was young, I ran back to the foundation. My mother always
Mm.
told me, um, before she even died, I want you to graduate college.
Mm-hmm.
And she died while I was in college.
Mm.
I ran back to what was told to me. If I decided to quit, then what she asked me to do, I wouldn't have been able to fulfill.
That's right. That's right. That's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful
So
because you made a choice to use that as your catapult to do better and do more and want more versus sitting there saying, oh, woe was me because I didn't have this. I couldn't
yeah,
do this.
yeah,
That's good. And that's what you're teaching the young men.
teaching them, because
Yes,
I don't want them to have a pity party, because no one wants to be invited to a pity party.
that's right.
What I want you to do is to be successful in what you were called to do, so you can thrive. And thriving simply means I am who I am. I'm prospering in what I do. And at the same time, my fruit speaks for itself, because those who come after me are doing
Yes.
the same thing.
Yes. That is good. That is so good. And that is so powerful because, again, and so it's so important for us. What I'm hearing you say is to be relational and for us to make sure we are a positive influence, to make sure we have these young men feel safe, to make sure we don't judge, and most of all, be part of a village again. It's
Yeah,
important for us to bring back the village and also teach them about God. Teach them how I got over. We don't have to,
they
every time we turn
got to
around,
know them.
dump the Lord on them, but teach
Yeah,
them about God. That's the real foundation,
yeah, yeah.
right? That
I,
is the
I,
real
I,
foundation.
you got to be able to have something to run to and stand on.
Yes.
If you don't have
That's,
anything to run to or stand on, then you will be lost.
mm,
A storm gonna come and you'll drown.
oh
Wind
yeah.
gonna come and it will be torn down.
Hmm.
But if you have something to stand on, you will be able to make it through. And that and young people, if young people get it now, if we understand it now, then shootings that took place in Huguenot High School wouldn't take place.
Right. Yeah.
You know, if they
Yeah.
understood what's going on, I was having a conversation. Yeah. If they understood what they are to, and I say this all the time, our young people have a praise in them so much that the enemy will try to put a stronghold on them. But what they don't know is that their praise puts a stronghold on him.
That's right. That's right.
So
That
that's
is
why they try
so
to quiet our young
powerful.
people's voices, because he knows how powerful they are. Because if the young people get it, eyes have not seen,
Ears
no
have
ear,
not heard.
no ear heard, right?
That's right.
And so that's why the attack is so much on our young people, especially our young men in our community.
Yeah. That's powerful that you said that. And so, Eric, I want you, as we begin to wrap up, I want you to think about a nugget. Man, I feel like this time just flew by so fast, but I
It
want you to
did,
think of
it
a
did.
nugget to say to our viewers. And I like the part when you was talking about, how important it is to know who you are and whose you are and how important your voice is. Sometimes when we are told we are mistakes or we have a lot of negativity dumped into us, we feel unheard and we feel like our voice don't matter. But listen here, young people, you have a voice and let it be heard in a positive
Yeah.
manner. I've heard Eric say, let your name speak positive. Let your name be a legacy. Eric, leave us with a nugget for our viewers.
Young people, even parents, anybody who's listening, in order to be exactly who you're called to be, my suggestion to you today is to really figure out what you have to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
If you have something to hold on to, then you have hope. And if you have hope, you have something. And having something is better than nothing.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much. So, Eric, hold on. Let me say see you later to our viewers, and I'll be right with you. Listen,
Right.
guys, you have been tuning in to Real Talk with Ellasin, and we have been talking with Eric Battle of the Battle brand, and he has been dropping some nuggets on here today, and we are grateful. Look up his organization. We will have his information on the chat. You can find it again. There it goes on the screen. Take a picture of it, screenshot it, whatever you need to do. But we will also have it listed on our Facebook as well as our YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe, right? So listen, I want to leave you guys with this quote. This is for our young men, right? And listen, it's for anybody, but mostly we're talking to our young men today. It's not what happens to us, but our response, what happens to us, that hurts us.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful with how we respond, because that response is what leaves the impact. And I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Real Talk with Ellasin. We have some great shows coming up with more men. We have a doctor that's going to be talking about some health. We have a young man that's going to be talking about what he had to overcome throughout his life. I mean, we're just doing it for our men. We cannot allow our men to suffer in silence, and not even our boys, because they are our future. Let your voice be heard. Create a safe place for our men to use their voice. And thank you again for watching Real Talk with Ellasin. It has been a pleasure. God bless. Mwah.